Welcome everybody, Souldin of the Grin brothers here, and it's time for another episode of Tea Time. For today's tea, I'm having a English afternoon tea. It's from the New English Teas pack, because for some reason I don't like the afternoon tea that's provided by Whittards. Yeah, I'm perfectly okay with the New English Teas afternoon tea. I'm not sure why these two different companies have their afternoon teas taste so differently, but they do. And in case, I'm recording this tea time in a very cramped room at the moment. One of my older brother is moving houses at the moment. He's not going to be able to move into his house immediately, so he has to put his stuff somewhere. So him and his family have kind of put all their stuff in round our house, and well, a lot of it's gone into the game room. So sorry if you hear any sort of banging or such. That's me colliding with something as I needlessly spin on my spinny chair, because you know I fidget a lot. So in any case, as you may have noticed, recently the Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze videos have been on a bit of a delay. That's because one of the videos turned out to have not de-edited itself somehow, which is bizarre, and so we had to re-edit that entire thing using ArcSoft. And unfortunately, because of, you know, it being Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze was our first series, we did things very wrong with it, so it's incredibly hard to actually edit it or sync it properly, and you know that's why the series isn't exactly perfect. As such, we've been on a delay because me and Rafi have been sorting out editing that. Rafi needed a break from it because he was going crazy trying to edit, so I've been editing it recently. And within the week-long time it took to edit that one video, yes, just one video, admittedly it's like an hour long, but one video, which this tea time should be uploaded after that video is uploaded. Sorry, shouldn't sniffle on the show. Yeah, in that time, I've been playing lots of games. I have to wait for ArcSoft to load every single action, be it changing from video to audio or even moving a thing a little bit. It has to load up that entire action. It usually takes like 10 to 20 minutes. Apparently, if I got more RAM for my laptop, it'd fix this problem, but a bit late for that. So I've actually had time to finish up a lot of games I've been had in my backlog, as it were. These are actually games that I'd already played through, like halfway through and such, but due to various events, I didn't get to finish them in the sort of years that I actually got the games, and other games came out. You know, I'm one of those people who hear those sort of reports about saying the gamers rarely finish their video games, sort of thing. Only 50% finish their games they own. And it's like, yeah, that's definitely me. I rarely actually get around to finishing a video game. Usually I just stick to, well, by finish I mean just even completing the main campaign. I usually don't get around to finishing all of that. So I've actually been playing through a bunch of these games, and I've actually completed 3 of the games from my Wii U backlog, though one of them isn't Wii U exclusive. And so I figured I might as well make a tea time talking about my experiences and my thoughts and opinions on them. I'll start off in order of which games I finished first. The first of which is Child of Light. Some of you may be familiar with my... Actually, wait. Before I go into that, I should have probably thought of a title for this video. Okay, the title of this video will have come up before I sort of started talking about Child of Light, obviously. So, getting back to Child of Light. Sorry for that interruption. Child of Light is actually the game I included as my... during my Tea Time 13, which I believe, Tea Time 13 was sort of top 6 / top 5 favourite games of 2014. In that Tea Time, I mentioned Child of Light as my number 1 favourite game of that year. And that is true, and that was true back then, even though I had yet to actually fully complete the game. Admittedly, I wasn't far off from completing the game, because it turned out I was in the last dungeon. I thought I'd only gotten like over 50% through, but apparently what I was in was the last dungeon. But yeah, Child of Light was my favourite game of 2014. And Child of Light still remains as my favourite Wii U game of all so far. It's actually my favourite game that is of this current gen. So Wii U, Xbox One, PS4, even though I don't know that, PS Vita, even though I don't know that, and 3DS. Of Generation 8 of consoles, but also including handhelds, because I tend to just bunch them together, even though they're actually a separate gen. Child of Light's my favourite so far. I don't know what sort of games may eventually overtake it as my favourite, or whether it will remain my favourite, but Child of Light is currently my favourite. And even though it does feel like it rushes the ending, it certainly feels like the game should have been longer than it was. You know, I still think that's only like a couple of dungeons length it needed more to it, really. And at the same time, I still feel it manages to get all of its story across that it wanted to. The concept of me wanting it to be longer, aside from the fact that it does feel like it rushes to the ending goal a little bit, is more because I wanted to see more of the characters interact and more events for these characters to go through. I loved Child of Light so much that I just wanted to experience more of these characters. At the same time, I also really like its shorter length. Again, I only state that it needs only like 1 or 2 more sort of dungeons, and I feel then that would have been okay to actually pace out the length of the story a bit better. But I actually do like its shorter length, because as I noted, I don't usually finish off games, and RPGs in particular are really hard to actually get around to finishing completely. I've rarely actually fully finished the RPGs I've played, aside from the Pokemon games, which I count as finishing as being the Elite Four, which I've done it with every one of the ones I've played, at least for the main entries. Well, except Gold and Silver if you count also having to defeat the other gym leaders and fight Red. But, you know, like I said, only Elite Four, so. But RPGs tend to go on for insane lengths, and they kind of drag on, and I feel that unless you're really dedicated to it, other games that you want to try out and sort of play something a little different from time to time will eventually pop up. So I actually appreciate Child of Light's short length. And despite the sort of rush ending, it still doesn't detract from all the things I enjoyed about the game along the way. I love its characters, I love its art style, I love its combat. It's quintessential one of the perfect turn-based RPG combat styles that I've ever sort of experienced. It's just a marvellous game with a marvellous look and feel to it. I really enjoyed the characters and wanted the characters to actually get more chances to interact. When you got a new character, you'd get to hear their interactions with the other party members when you won a fight. And I wish there was more of that. In any case, I'm really glad that this sort of editing time did give me the chance to actually complete Child of Light, because it is a truly incredible game, and one I truly recommend everyone try out if they can get it on their system, because I had such a blast with it, and it's a high mark for any other game to pass at the moment. Okay, I didn't include it in my top 10 favourite games, but it's easily within my top 20, probably my top 15. Probably at 15 at that. But absolutely loved it. The other game I played was Captain Toad Treasure Tracker. This was a game I was looking forward to sort of for this year, because those of us in the UK, it came out like early January, officially. I mean, some of the game stores actually released it early, but Captain Toad Treasure Tracker otherwise released officially within January. So I may give it more of a mention in my top 6 games of this year, but I'm not going to reveal whether other games have surpassed that or whether it is within the top 6. You know, you'll see. Also, I haven't finished playing the games of this year. There's plenty of games to come for the remainder of this year. But in regards to Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, I enjoyed it. I do think ultimately that its concept doesn't make for... I enjoy the fact that Captain Toad Treasure Tracker did get made into a full-on game, because there are a lot of ideas that can be done with it, and there are a lot of unique stages that Captain Toad Treasure Tracker presents. It's full of different things you can do with its mechanics and gameplay style. For that, I'm really glad it got a game of its own, because it had the idea in Super Mario 3D World, but they explore it in amazing ways in Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, and at the same time, they also make the game look absolutely incredible. The graphics of this game are just beautiful. There are some moments where they basically just don't really give you a puzzle, but just want to show off the graphical capabilities of the Wii U and the art style of Super Mario 3D World and / Captain Toad Treasure Tracker. And I really appreciate seeing all that. At the same time, though, Captain Toad Treasure Tracker doesn't work quite so well as a full-on game in of itself. Maybe it's because I'm not as attuned to puzzle games. For instance, Rafi may, if, other than the whole, the spinning of the camera would probably start to make him feel sick. He'd probably be able to play a puzzle game for much longer than myself. Whereas I find it hard to play Captain Toad Treasure Tracker for a long time at a time. Like with an RPG or a fine game, I could probably play those for, at least a couple of hours before thinking I should sort of stop and have a break or such. I'm going to play those for a long time. Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, on the other hand, no, usually you kick after like 40 minutes, or if I'd gone stuck, sort of been getting frustrated with a particular puzzle, I'd need a break after that, or need to stop playing for like the rest of the day, or like I said, just a like hour break, little tea. It's like I love the ideas to it, but it's not the sort of game I feel you can truly sit down and play for long hours. And I kind of feel that it kind of worked best when it was an additional feature in something like Super Mario 3D World. At the same time, though, what they got to do from having its own game allowed them to do many more unique ideas. If there was another gameplay mode to it, which allowed you to take a break from some of the Captain Toad elements, like for instance do a reverse and have it so that the Super Mario 3D World levels were actually the side event mini games where there was only like sort of 3 or 5 of them within Captain Toad Treasure Tracker. I feel that would work well in breaking up the pacing of it. But otherwise, I really enjoyed the game. There are 1 or 2 other sort of flaws to it, but I feel that it's really good that it exists, but that it's, to allow the experimentation of its concept and let the Wii U gamepad shine a bit more. Before I go into the third game, I'm going to have a bit of tea. Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of afternoon, but if you put milk with enough milk with any tea, they usually start to taste a bit better. I actually had an Indian tea recently, because I actually had an Indian recently, which is only my second time having an Indian. But I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, and I can't really sort of drink it at this moment. Enough about tea, though, because I could also talk about Mumbai chai, I believe that is, which I had recently at a Witar tea shop, which I really need to get some Mumbai chai, because then I can drink it on the show. In any case, the next game, the third game that I got to finish off during this week of editing, is Wonderful 101. Yes, I left that for a long time. Wonderful 101 was the biggest reason to me for wanting a Wii U at launch. Ironically, it wasn't available at launch, but Wonderful 101 was that game I really wanted to try out of the Wii U's library. It's funny that it's a third-party game, because this has been the case with both the Wii and the 3DS, because with the Wii, of the launch lineup it had, the game I was most interested in was Red Steel. Of the 3DS lineup, the game that made me go and get a 3DS, although I never got that at launch, was Dead or Alive Dimensions. Was actually the game which made me go, okay, I need a 3DS, let me see what money I've got. But in regards to the Wii U, the game that was making me really, really interested in the Wii U and thinking, okay, I'm going to get a Wii U on launch day, I'm going to enjoy it, but the game I really want to get for it at launch is Wonderful 101, although it was known as P100 initially. The thing which cinched it for me, other than the fact that I loved how it was using Nintendo's new feature of the gamepad, and I loved the sort of concept and colours of it all, the thing that convinced me the most was actually its sort of like second trailer when it goes, Wonderful 100. Wait, I think we've forgot someone. You, and changed it to Wonderful 101, and that was just brilliant. That was just a brilliant trailer. But Wonderful 101 was the game that made me want to get a Wii U immediately. Aside of the fact that I really wanted to actually buy a launch console myself. The Dreamcast and the Wii that I got, and the handhelds I usually got, those were usually only got on at launch day because they were Christmas presents. But the Wii U was the first launch console that I actually bought myself. But Wonderful 101 was the game I was most looking forward to. But for some reason, although I had the game and I completed up to like the first sort of 5 levels, I got Wonder Yellow, beat that boss's area. For some reason, I ended up taking a break from it. I spent my time playing Wind Waker HD, Super Mario 3D World, games I absolutely love, by the way. But I didn't get back to it for a long while. and it's only now that I got back to it and I completed all of it within this sort of week's time. Wonderful 101 has some problems. Its camera angle. Oh gosh, I hate its camera angle. The camera angle is awful in this game. Also, Mission 007 is completely ridiculous and is terrible level design. Every other level to it, the game, though, it's absolutely amazing. The variety in this game is jam-packed. The controls are brilliant. I personally feel the best way to use them is to use both the R stick and the stylus touchscreen, depending on the situation and what shape you want to perform. For instance, sword is quick enough to form with the R stick, and whip is quick enough to form with the R stick. However, I can't draw bomb or hammer or boomerang or stuff like that without using the stylus. So those are the things where I feel that you got to mix it up with how you use it and depending on the situation, which I really like. It's similar to Splatoon. Sometimes I use gyros, sometimes I use the R stick to do it. You know, different actions for different situations. But yeah, the variety of this game is jam-packed. The story's simple but spectacular and has surprising amount of depth here and there. And a lot of it's just pure epicness. The fighting is epic, the bosses are epic, the cutscenes are epic. QuickTime events are made fun and creative in this game. QuickTime events! I was looking forward to QuickTime events because of how spectacular they were in this game. I haven't had this much fun with QuickTime events since Azura's Wrath, which is the other game I'd highlight as a good game with QuickTime events, as it featured prominently. The fighting was a lot of fun. There's lots of cool ways to fight against the opponents, and the characters are really likeable. I wish Wonder Yellow, Wonder White, and Wonder Black got more to do, because it kind of feels like they didn't really have as much time to really do stuff, but I still enjoyed their presence all the same. I'd probably say Wonder Yellow is actually my favourite, actually, of the Wonderful 101s. Although I really do like Wonder Red and Wonder Blue. Wonder Blue's character development through the game is amazing, and Wonder Red is just a brilliant protagonist. Quite different from the usual sort, and a ton of fun. He's hilarious, as well as pretty epic. Okay, all the characters are pretty darn epic. And the ending for this game, well, there's an epilogue level and all, but the ending for this game, the final moment against the final boss, blows my mind. Absolutely brilliant. Anyone who's played the game and seen that ending will know. But Wonderful 101 is the sort of game... It's not my favourite game on Wii U. It's definitely, though, within my top 10 favourite Wii U games, including digital games as well, such as Child of Light. It's definitely sort of steadfast as a top 10 favourite Wii U game. It was a good point I brought up in Fair But Frustrating Difficulty, the Tea Time I recently did, wherein, with exception to how bad the camera could be, I always felt it was very fair in the difficulty it posed. You know, it's like I could see where I was going wrong and I could see what I could do, except for those times where I couldn't actually see the enemy because the camera angle was awful. That's literally the only problem. Camera angle. They really needed to sort that out, but it's like they really wanted it zoomed in too close to you at times and walls get in the way. But otherwise, spectacular. I had so much fun. The game always had me pumped up, and it's so unique and creative, and it's a brilliant use of the Wii U gamepad for a Wii U gamepad focused game. I'd honestly say that the best Wii U gamepad involving game is still actually Wind Waker HD, which may surprise some people because it's actually more because of how subtly it uses the touchscreen, the sort of Wii U gamepad, and how it feels so sort of casual in its interaction, as it were. But Wonderful 101 is a game which shows how the gamepad can be used in amazing ways. And honestly, if I was recommending people to a Wii U, Wonderful 101 would be amongst some of the very first games I'd ever recommend people get a Wii U for, particularly to get an idea of what the gamepad can be utilised for. So those are the 3 games I ended up playing during my spare time with the editing. I've had a lot of fun with each of them, and hey, feel free to share your thoughts on these 3 games below. I'm really glad I got around to finishing them off. Wonder what I should play next. Hyrule Warriors or Shantae and the Pirate's Curse? Although, admittedly, I haven't even started Shantae and the Pirate's Curse, but in any case, let me finish on my tea. So I had a fun time playing Child of Light, Captain Toad Treasure Checker, and Wonderful 101. There's probably more editing to do in the future, so heck, I'll have plenty of time to catch up on other games. For now, though, cheerio everyone, hope you enjoyed.